Okay, welcome to the Healing Little You Defenses Masterclass. So I'm just going to share my screen with you and we can get into it. Okay, so I know where everyone's from here, but if you are watching the replay, please let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm always curious to know. And if you haven't joined the Healing Little You group, please come and join us on Facebook. There's a whole bunch of units in there to help you support you to heal your inner child. So for those of you who don't know, my name's Anthea Spark, and I'm a soul-centered psychotherapist, kinesiologist, energy healer, and intuitive card reader. And I really believe that I was put here on this planet to help people transform their lives. And I think at the core of everything I do is to support people to love and accept themselves unconditionally on a deep level, because it's that deep appreciation of self, that deep love of self that actually opens us up to getting what it is that we truly want and what we truly desire. So I'm also the proud mum of Olivia and Sophie, and they basically teach me how to be a better person each and every day. So my journey wasn't always easy, you know, and this actual journey really kind of began for me, or started up again, about 5 years ago when I went into hospital to give birth to my second daughter, Sophie, and I left hospital with half a paralyzed face. So when I was 15, I used to sit in my room hiding away from my family, who I actually believed I was adopted. And I would sit in my room and I would play with my angel cards, because it was the only thing that kind of brought me comfort. And I felt like no one understood me. I was the black sheep of the family, and I just didn't really want to be around anybody. So I spent a good 10 years on this spiritual path, reading personal development books and really educating myself and doing different things like going to past life regressions and meditating and all that. But then life got in the way, and I met my husband and we fell in love and I had my kids. And so all of that stuff stopped. But when I got sick, all of the stuff that I had learnt from the past was creeping in, and I'd realized that I had to convince myself that I could heal, right? I really knew about the power of the mind and the power of belief. And I knew that if I didn't practice being positive, that I was probably going to stay paralyzed, because there were a lot of people with this condition who hadn't healed and hadn't recovered and continued to be paralyzed. So I smashed myself, right? I completely smashed myself, and I started to do the inner work. And let me just let these people in. So I really started to do the inner work. And when I asked myself, how did I get here? This is what I uncovered, right? So I suppressed my emotions. I'd get triggered by everything and everyone. So I was constantly reacting and creating these stories around other people and situations, right? I allowed people to take advantage of me. I was a people pleaser. I didn't ask for what I wanted. I was angry at myself, my husband, my mum. I was angry at everyone, basically. I was super defensive. I was a massive overthinker. Again, creating more stories and self-attack. What I should have added in here is self-attack. I was so hard on myself. I was constantly beating myself up for my actions, for other people's actions, for everything. I was judgmental of myself and others, and I was a massive victim, and my heart was completely closed off, right? And so that's how I believe I contributed to my own illness, as well as, yes, some physical conditions, stress on the physical body, stress on the mind, stress in my heart. All of it contributed to me ending up paralyzed, basically. And I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to start, I wanted to take responsibility for everything. So let's talk about my defense mechanism. Okay, so I'm just going to put you guys on mute just so there's no external noise coming in here. And if you have questions, you can unmute yourself. So this is what I understood about my defense mechanism, okay? It was a protective shield. Any defense mechanism is a protective shield, right? And so at some point you decided to, to create this defensive mechanism, right? And often it starts in childhood because we are open and we're like all these things in the middle, right? We're love, we're trusting, we're authentic, we're vulnerable, we're allowing, we love connection, we're open-hearted, and we want to try new things, right? That's what we're like when we're little. We want to have a good time. But as things happen and we get hurt, we create this defense mechanism, right? And it protects us from feeling pain, and it protects us from trusting others, and it protects us from being vulnerable and allowing and connection, and right? Because once the pain hits, it's so great. The pain is so great and grand and full on that we're like, you know what? I don't want to experience that again. I'm going to shut myself down. And then as we move through life, we have more experiences that shut us down, right? So we build and then we create these defense mechanisms that make up the big defense mechanism, right? So that involves being resentful, like suppressing these emotions, holding them in this defense mechanism, right? Being resentful, aggressive, bitter, holding on to guilt. Like that guilt is like really big around resentment, right? Well, if I'd done that differently, I probably wouldn't have this, and I regret not doing that, and feeling anger. Yeah. Anger, what a great way to defend yourself. It is powerful. Yeah. Anger, even though it's toxic and it's like poison to your physical body, it can drive you, right, to transformation. It can drive you to build a bigger wall. Yeah. It's a really powerful driving factor. If you know how to use it properly, you can actually use it in a positive way. So pushing people away, being aggressive towards people, isolating yourself, being suspicious of others is a defense mechanism. Sometimes there's nothing to be suspicious about at all. But because of our past pain and our wounds, we will find a way to create this suspicion, right? And that's usually the ego that steps in. So it's really important for you to think about and understand what has created your defense mechanism, so that when you start reaching out for what you want in this lifetime, you become aware of when you're becoming defensive, and you can catch it. And you can be like, oh, I'm doing that thing again that I've always done, right? What do I need to do to not drop into that again? What do I need to do to not drop into all of this stuff that's here, right? So that I can allow myself to try new things and open up to connection. Maybe you need to ask clarifying questions. So this is where the tools come in, right? This is where tools come in really helpful for people who have pain and trauma and really, really big defense mechanisms, because we need tools. If we don't have tools, if I'm going to build a house and I'm like, right, I've got the bricks and the cement, but I've got no tools. How the hell am I going to build this house? I can't, right? I can't even start unless I use my hand, but what kind of an outcome is that going to get? I can't wing it. I need my tools. Yeah, any questions so far? Okay. So hi, Anya, and I can't see whose phone, whoever's come in through their phone, you've just said, I wish my son could hear this. It's being recorded, so I can send you the link, and if he's open to watching the replay, you can send it to him. Okay, so after becoming aware of all of that stuff, and after smashing my own mindset and my own perspective and healing my own inner child and actually taking responsibility from how my life unfolded, I started to realize how powerful this work was, right? And I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mum. But after healing myself, I realized, oh my God, this is how I need to help people. This is what I was put here to do. And so I set off on a mission to start my business. And that's what I did 5 years ago. Okay. And it all has unfolded in this way. I never really thought I was going to end up mainly helping people heal their inner child, but that's what the angelic realm put before me, right? They were like, this is what we want you to do. So they started sending me all of these people who needed inner child healing. And so that's at the core of what I do. So after 24 years of education and experience, and it hasn't stopped for me, I continue to do the work. And I was having a conversation with someone the other night actually about, how I help others, but I also shared with him that I allow others to help me, because I can't see what I do. I can't see how I hinder my growth or how I sabotage my relationships. And so I have a team of people that I reach out for with different things that support me. Okay. And it's really, really important to do that. But I just wanted to tell you that this is how it all came together, that I've combined everything that I've learned over the years and what I continue to learn. And I share that with others. And everything that I teach has come from personal experience. And everything that I post comes from my heart and some form of experience within myself as well. Because I have a lot of people say to me, that post you did, it was like you were talking directly to me. And I'm like, isn't that interesting? Because I have a lot of people who say that. And it just shows me that we're all one, we're all connected, we're all experiencing the same things, maybe in slightly different ways, but we're all experiencing the same things. Okay, so let's touch on who is little me, right? So little you is that younger version of you, and it can be any younger version of you. It doesn't have to be from childhood. It could be you from yesterday all the way to birth. Okay. Now, the reason I say it like that is because it's really important to think about your past self with compassion and to shine love on your past self. So if you think of you from yesterday all the way back from birth as little you, I believe you're going to be a little bit more gentler with yourself. And that's really, really important. Yeah. When you start being gentle with yourself, your whole reality changes. So if you've had experiences of people yelling at you or attacking you, and I've had a couple of clients lately who have said to me, my friend yelled at me and they're really aggressive and rude and mean, and someone else had a boss do that. And I was like, what do you think that's a reflection of? And it was like, and actually I had 3 or 4 clients this week say the same thing. It was a reflection of how they were treating themselves. Yeah. And a lot of us don't think about that. We go into, why are they being so mean to me? Right. And that's little you talking. Little you's going, why is this happening to me? Right? Because little you's probably experienced it in the past. Now, if you're someone who has beaten yourself up and is really hard on yourself and really mean to yourself, chances are someone in your childhood was, and you learnt how to treat yourself in that way, and you still do today. But this is what we're going to break, right? We're going to break out of that conditioning so that you can learn how to love and accept yourself. And then others will start to do that for you as well. The universe will show you that. People will be more gentle with you and less harsh. Any questions? Let me just check the chat. Okay. All right. So, do you ever get triggered? Yeah. Do you ever get triggered and you get really angry, you get really charged up? Yeah. That's because you've got unresolved stuff from the past. Okay. There's nothing psychologically wrong with you. Yeah, it's just showing you, if you get triggered and there's a charge there, it's just showing you that there's a younger version of you who needs a bit of love and affection and healing. Okay. And you have the power to do that. So when you get triggered, this younger version of you actually gets an opportunity to step in. So it's almost like when you're going about your day, let's say going about your day and you're all aligned and you're feeling pretty good and everything's kind of going okay, and then something happens and you're like triggered and you go from calm to angry in seconds. It's as if one of these younger versions of you has kicked open a door, come out of nowhere, and is taking over, right? And then you're sending angry messages, or you're attacking someone, or you're saying hurtful things to someone, because that's that younger version of you. They've finally got their opportunity to express, and they think they're going to be heard and they're going to get some type of validation in that moment. But the reality is they don't. And they eventually go back to where they came from, that room. And then you're left feeling depleted. You feel guilty for how you've behaved, and you feel powerless to your emotions. You don't feel in control. Okay. And then what we do is then we can start to beat ourselves up and continue to beat ourselves up. And then we spiral down and down and down into very low vibrating places like guilt and anger and shame. And it's really hard for good things to happen when we're negative. Okay. So just remember that you can't expect good things to happen when you're in a negative state. So, like I said before, these younger versions of us, it's like they're holding on to the anger, they're holding on to the guilt, the shame, the abuse, whatever it is, until you free them. Now, they want to feel better, okay? But that's on you. That's your responsibility as the adult to heal your inner child. And that's something that I can help you with. Now, unfortunately, these negative things happened to all of us when we were little. And even though it's not fair, it is still our responsibility as adults to heal ourselves. Okay. So, though your inner child wants you to rescue them out of those trapped places that they're in, okay, that's what they want you to do. They're waiting for you to help them. So, every time you react, right, and you probably feel like, gee, I didn't really handle that situation well. That wasn't a very mature response. Now, every time you react, your inner child's going, hello, I need your help. And until you give it to me, I'm going to keep damaging your life in this way by reacting. I'm going to keep stabbing people and pushing people away. Yeah. They know how the defense mechanism works. They know the rules because you set them up. They set them up, right? Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. Let me just check the questions. Oh, Susan. Okay, beautiful. Yes, we all have triggers, right? So it's just a matter of understanding ourselves. One of the biggest things to help you in your relationship with yourself and others is having this deep understanding of self. Yeah. And then trying to understand others. Because, think back to the defense mechanism. If we are suspicious of someone's actions or inactions, we're assuming that we know what that person is doing or not doing, right? So often if someone comes into our lives and they can connect with us and they communicate a lot and then they stop communicating, we go straight into, oh, they're going to abandon me. But really, maybe they're going through something really traumatic and they need time to themselves and they just don't have good communication skills or they don't know how to communicate that to you. This is where you need to seek understanding of that person rather than going into your wounds and, your defenses. Okay. But that comes. Again, this is the tools that will help you in any situation. So, one thing I just wanted to touch on here is that when trauma strikes, when you have these emotions like anger, like we talked about earlier, and trauma, it gets stored in your body as a memory of stress. So, anger, for example, creates inflammation. And if you want to go deeper into anger, you can check out my other webinar that I did on anger. You can check that one out. And I talk more about where it's stored and how it affects you. But any emotions that we don't release and any traumas we don't work through, they stay trapped in our body, and that can manifest into physical pain, and it can also manifest into something even more severe like an illness or disease. Okay, so it's really important to release your suppressed emotions and work through your wounds so that it doesn't affect your physical body. Okay, now one of the things that I do to help my clients heal their inner child is I do guided meditations where I take them back in time to support their inner child. Now, we're not doing a meditation today. That's something that I do in my private sessions. But if you wanted to do a meditation, there's heaps in the Healing Little You Facebook group, so you can jump in there and do one. But basically, the way the meditations work is that even though you can't change what happened in the past, little you, who's in one of those rooms behind that door, is waiting for you to go back and love them and give them something, some validation. And so that's what I can help you with. I can take you back to little you and give little you that validation that they've been waiting for. Now, that adds a timeline of support. And your mind doesn't know the difference between reality and meditation. It doesn't know the difference between that. So your mind, when we do this, goes, oh, that story's changed. I can let go of that stress from the body now. Yeah, I can release that anger now. And so it changes the energy in the body. And it releases the memory of stress. Now, look at this image here, right? This darkness, this heaviness, this think of guilt and anger and shame. This is how much heaviness stays in your body. And what that does is it makes you look old. It gives you wrinkles. Yeah. Now, when you release that, when you start to release stuff, you start to look younger. You will physically begin looking different. You will start to glow, right? There will be this lightness about you. Like I saw in you today, Chris, right? There's this lightness about you. Yeah, I can see your smile, like it's, you know, like something's shifted. And that's what happens. The more we release heavy emotions, the lighter we feel and look. So it's really important. So I'll just get you guys to do a little bit of an exercise now, okay? Just to help you create a little bit more awareness around what it is that needs your attention right now. But before we do this, does anybody have any questions? And you can unmute yourself if you do have a question. I'll just check the comments. So Susan's just saying she deals with shame and it makes sense. And she believes it caused her breast cancer. Yeah. Yeah. And she loves the guided meditations. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Susan. And yeah, like, you know, I really believe that too. I really believe that our emotions make us physically sick, you know. So what did little you need to hear from an adult? Was it, I love you, I'm proud of you, you are enough? So just get you to write those things down, or you know, put it in your phone, in your notes section. What is it that they wanted to hear, and what are they still waiting to hear? Did they need to hear you can become anything you want to become? You know, did they need to hear other kids are bullies, don't listen to them? What is it that you needed to hear, and what is it that you're still waiting to hear? You know, did little you need to hear you don't have to prove that to anyone that you're lovable? You know, are you still waiting to hear that? Because I'll tell you that right now, you don't have to prove to anyone that you are lovable. That is such a big, heavy burden. Yeah. It is not your job to prove to anyone that they should love you. If someone can't see that, they're not meant to be for you, right? Now, when you try to prove to people that you are lovable, and I've been guilty of that, you end up in toxic relationships. You end up being the fixer, the healer, the changer, the builder of that whole entire relationship all on your own. And that is exhausting. Yeah, that alone, that burden alone is enough to send you into illness. Yeah. So take that. If that's something you've been carrying, release it. Find a way to release it. Susan, are you okay? Yeah, you're okay. You don't have to answer. I just wanted to check in and let you know I'm here supporting you. Let me just check the comments. Okay, so Susan's saying, I just wanted to be heard. I was scared all the time growing up. My emotions are coming out now, and that's a good thing. Good. So yeah, so think about fear. Yeah. As a little kid, when you're scared, you're like on alert all the time. Yeah. If you're on alert all the time, think of your defense mechanism. Your defense mechanism would be hella strong, right? So if you're on alert all the time, everything is tensed up. Your body would be tensed up. You'd be thinking something bad's going to happen, right?
I'm okay.
Okay, good. Good. It's really hard. It's really hard processing this stuff.
Yes.
Let me just pause this actually. Sorry, let me just, if I can find a way to. Okay. So what I want you to ask yourself now is, what does it feel like when you are overwhelmed with emotions? What does it feel like? Do you actually shut down and shut off? Do you want to hide in your room? Do you want to isolate yourself? Is it really hard for you to do anything other than sit alone and kind of protect and nurture? What does it actually feel like? I'd be curious. I'm actually curious to know, like, if you can drop a one word or a sentence in the chat. What does it feel like to you when you're overwhelmed?
Anthea, it's Anya.
Hey, Anya.
Hi there. So when I'm feeling overwhelmed, my body, like I feel it so much physically.
Yeah.
I literally go into shutdown and just riddled with anxiety. And all I want to do, or all I can do, is literally crawl into my bed, and I've got to be really warm, like pull the blankets right up. And luckily that doesn't happen much at all anymore because I've done so much work.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad it doesn't, because it's just debilitating. And it's really interesting now that I can look back as an observer, the physical response from your body. And you know, I think it was Susan that you said, just mentioned she thinks that, you know, that was the cause of her breast cancer. Makes so much sense, doesn't it? Like your body literally goes into dis-ease.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. And you know, most of us were like, oh, well, I've got to, you know, when we go into disease or pain or whatever it is, we go into, right, I've got to eat better, I've got to exercise, I've got to, you know, whatever it is, we've got to fix our physical stuff. But a lot of people overlook the emotional stuff, right? And the importance of learning how to regulate our emotions on a daily, as a daily practice, right? Not just a couple of times a year when it's like coming up to Christmas and you get anxiety because it's like a really emotional time of year and you don't want to see family and you don't want to see that person because they give you anxiety. It's really important to know, to have those tools to regulate your emotions every single day, because we are emotional beings. Our emotions are our greatest guidance system. And if we don't know how to regulate them and self-soothe and self-nurture, that's when we build stronger defense mechanisms. Protection, protection, protection. Now, if we have the right tools, we actually don't need any protection. Yeah, we can actually boldly and courageously go after what we want with our tools, not with our shields. Okay, so really important. And it takes work to get there. It takes practice, right? It's not, we're not just going to go, and I do not recommend this to anyone. We don't just drop the defensive mechanism and go, right, let's do this, right? Because that won't work. We need to slowly lower the defense. We need to slowly allow it to dissolve away. Yeah. What would it mean to be free of the past? What would that mean to you? What would it be like if you could look back? Let's say, Anya, I'm going to use your example. What would it be like if that never ever happened again? You know, you not ever needing to like be so overwhelmed with emotions that you had to go to bed and hide and cry for a day or two. What would that mean if you were completely free of that?
Oh, just the freedom, the peace, the joy, the quality of life, like, would just be, you know, tenfold, infinity-fold. It would be huge.
Yeah. And
I could create so much more, because you can't create when you're in that space. You know, the vibration is just, well, you're literally not vibrating. You've almost got into negative vibration, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, how do you even attract greatness in your life when you're in that space? You can't.
Well, you can't be negative and expect something positive to happen, right?
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So let me ask you one more question. Like, how much space in your life does the past take up?
Yeah, exactly. Too much. It's unnecessary. It really is. It's unnecessary, because we can't change that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, I found too that the stuff that was my stuff that has affected me in my life, it wasn't even about me. It was about the other person. They're the ones with the issues, but because they inflicted it on me, I went into the whole, it's so easy to get sucked into that victim vortex.
Yes.
But if you're really able to sort of like just move aside from it and really just observe it for what it really is, it's the other people that are fucked up, you know, and they put their stuff on you.
Yeah. And so what's important with that is that you take the lessons from the past. Okay. Yeah. You take it, you're like, okay, well, how did I allow that person to inflict that on me? And then you take the lesson of that. The reason why the past hangs around and it plays over and over in your mind is because you haven't taken the lesson from it yet and forgiven yourself for it. Okay. Yep. So take the lesson, forgive yourself for allowing yourself to experience that, and then bring it into the present moment and like, right, that was painful. That was so painful for me that I'm not going to ever allow myself to relive it.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I love what you said there, because one of my affirmations, Anthea, is I'm learning to love myself and forgive myself for allowing someone else to determine my self-worth.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Boom. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for sharing. I think that's helped everyone, you know.
Pleasure.
So yeah, it's important, right? Now, we don't just go through the pain because bad things happen to us, because we're unlucky or we, you know, we feel we deserve it or whatever it is. But if you can start to see your past like this, it's really going to help you to begin to move forward and to free yourself of the past. Okay. Now, if that's something you want to do, I've got a whole bunch of programs that you can jump on and do. They're little mini ones. Yeah. The judgment detox would be the first one I'd offer you. And that one is free. And what it does is it helps you forgive yourself. It helps you realize how much you're holding on to, right? So if this webinar has helped you and you want to talk more about how I can support you, or you want to check out you want to hear me talk about more things and more topics, you can check me out on YouTube, on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. If you want to chat with me personally, you can message me. The quickest way to message me is by messaging me on Anthea Spark. That's my personal account. And or you can check out my website if you want to find out more about what it is that I do. Okay. Now, if you want to actually work with me today, right, and you actually want to invest and work with me, this is what I have on offer at the moment. So my private clients, what they do is they buy my transformational journey. Okay. And that's a 12-week program where we work together weekly to help you reprogram your unconscious mind, heal your inner child, and really learn the tools that you need to learn in order to move forward in life. I'm also running another program at the moment called The Path of the Warrior, which is a group program. And I'm not sure if I'm going to run that one again, but that's another way that people work with me. My private sessions are $140. And then I also have my membership group, which is $34 per month. Now, in the membership group, which is the most affordable, way to work with me, you get a whole bunch of things monthly. You get some group sessions, right? This month we had 2 meditations during the new moon and the full moon. We also had a releasing session, which was an emotional freedom technique session, not tapping, but it was a different tool that I use to help my clients release. They get a mini private card reading as well once a month. So we jump on a Zoom and everyone gets 10 minutes or less where I give them a little reading. And you get to be a part of a supportive community of other like-minded people who are actually on this healing journey as well. So what I will do is I'll just stop sharing. I'll see if there's any questions and I will share the links to all of those things with you now. Okay. So let me just pop these links in here. That's the link to book a private session if that's something you're interested in. That's the link for the transformation program, which is on sale at the moment. And this is the link for the monthly membership. Now, the monthly membership, you can also purchase that as a yearly product, and that's on sale at the moment. So let me jump on and have a read of these questions here. Okay, so Susan's just saying, I've been following you for some time and you've helped me. Great. What are your thoughts about hypnosis? So Susan, essentially the guided meditations are hypnosis. Okay. That's what they are. They're hypnosis, and hypnosis is very powerful. We go into the unconscious mind. Okay. And that is where we can actually change the things that we want to change. Right. Because, and I'll tell you why. Because when we go into the unconscious mind, there's no ego in there. It doesn't go, I have to be like this and I need validation. And The unconscious mind just goes, oh, do you want to change that? Okay, cool. I'll guide you to change that. Okay, so that's what it happens. Whereas the conscious mind, it thinks that it needs to do this. It needs to protect you. It needs to, right? It's just trying to do its job. But we've given it really bad instructions. And our ego gets in the way, right? We want validation from others, and there's all these complications. So it's better to go in through the back, okay? Okay, so Crystal feels like she'd like to be more adventurous. Yes, good. Susan wants happiness. So Crystal's just saying, I isolate, overeat food, and stop caring what other people think of me. So, and the overeating, right? Now let's just talk about that for a second, because it's really, really important, right? Anytime we've felt alone or hurt, Okay. I remember when I was younger, I had this really horrible experience. I was walking home from school and there was this, I was 11. No, I wasn't walking home from. So I was walking home from my parents' chicken shop that I worked at, and I lived in Cyprus. And I was walking on the other side of the road that day. It was as if something or someone was trying to protect me, because I never walk on that side of the road. Now, on the other side of the road, there was this man there, would have been in his 40s, and he saw me and he said, "Come here." Now, as a child, as an 11-year-old child, I listened to what adults told me to do. And as I started crossing the road, I knew that that was a bad, bad choice that I had made. And as I approached him, he started to talk to me. And again, I felt obligated to listen because I respected adults, right? And as he proceeded to talk to me, he then invited me back to his hotel room where he told me there was a lot of toys, right? And a lot of things that I could have that he could give me. Now, in that moment, my fear instinct kicked in and I started running. Okay, because I was scared, because I knew that this energetically, I could feel it was bad before I even crossed the road, but I did it anyway. Okay, because my conscious mind has been programmed to obey and listen to adults, respect your elders, doesn't matter who they are, right? But I also, in here, I also had everyone, I remember my father instilling this in me: you can't trust anyone, right? Don't trust anyone, everyone's out to get you, okay? Now, what I did though was, instead of just running straight home, I went past a store and I bought all this chocolate. And I didn't even like chocolate. And then I went home and I sat in front of the TV, put the TV on so I could disassociate, and I ate all the chocolate. And that, it gave me comfort, okay? It gave me great comfort. So then what do you think I did for the rest of my life, right? That I've been trying to work on breaking out of, that I've only really done about a year ago. Instead of seeking comfort from food, I had to find other ways to do it, okay? So we do that. We suppress our emotions or the fear or whatever it is. We try to push it down because we don't know what to do with it, especially at 11. I don't know what to do with those emotions. No one ever taught me how to self-regulate, right? So drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, food, all of those things, probably there's a whole lot more. We use them for comfort, to suppress our emotions, to fill a void that we don't know how to otherwise fill. Okay, so this is why I say to you, be gentle with yourself. We'll get to that stuff. You'll get to that stuff. You'll find a way to fill the void later. Okay, so this is like, oh, I'm overeating again. Okay, well, just become aware of it. I wonder what void am I trying to fill? Get to know yourself when you're in those moments. And rather than beating yourself up, right? I remember getting to the end of eating a whole bag of chips, I'd be like, I can't believe I just did that. Why would I do that to myself? You're an idiot. You're going to be fatter tomorrow, right? And I'd go into all this guilt and beating myself up. But in that moment, if you just drop into awareness, what you will do is you'll stop halfway through the bag of chips. And you'll be like, oh, I'm glad I didn't eat the whole bag, but what's actually going on for me right now? What do I need to know? How lucky am I that I'm actually becoming aware of who I am so I can stop this overeating eventually over time, right? And even if that one day you eat the whole bag of chips again, you go, you know what? It's all right. You needed that bag of chips today. And even though I don't know yet how I'm going to change this, I'm going to just plant a little seed of intention that I will change it. One day I'm going to be able to change it. I'm going to be strong enough to change it. And I'm not going to need the alcohol, the sex, the chips, the whatever. Okay? Does that help? Yeah. And so you've got to heal the trauma. I had to work really hard to heal that traumatic experience that left me in a state of shock for years, that taught me I can't trust men, that instilled this belief in me that men just want sex. That's what they want from you. Right? Now think about what kind of defense mechanism I created and the kind of relationships I'd attract, and the good men, I'd push them away, right? Yeah, so it's really important that you understand yourself, because when you understand yourself on a deeper level, that's when you're going to set yourself free. That's how you forgive yourself. But going, oh, that's why I did this, this, and this. And all of the secrets to this are buried inside of you. Okay, you have all of the answers within you. You just need the tools to get to where it is to extract that information. Okay. Any more questions? No? Okay, so I'm just going to stop the recording. So if anyone